Chapter 17 of The Meaning of Life and Other Essays by Archbishop Alban Goodyear, S.J. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Judith. 3 Types, Part 1. Of every child that is born, the question is soon asked, what will become of him? The fond mother has her dream within her heart from the beginning, often enough regardless of the child's capabilities. The father looks on and calculates, considering time and place and circumstances. The teacher or schoolmaster has other ideas, usually built upon a knowledge of the nature as it develops. Soon the child himself begins to realize himself, comes to the use of reason, as we call it, reaches out towards ideals which he sees, whether they be true or mere phantoms, and longs to have them for his own. At first he scarcely knows what they are. At first he does not know his own powers. Gradually, by experience and humility, he learns both the one and the other, what is in itself attainable, and what he may himself attain. And as he grows to manhood, he aspires to build up his life accordingly. But whatever the process of training may be, in the event, the making of the man depends very much upon the child himself. Men at some time are masters of their fate, says Shakespeare. We would like to add, not merely at some time, but from the beginning to the end. Others may help us or thwart us. Circumstances may be for us or against us. They cannot wholly make us or destroy us. We must labor at the making ourselves, and it is never wholly completed. And in the process, we may recognize with ease the divisions under which the makers of themselves may be classified. Ultimately, there are 3, not wholly distinct, it is true. In some things, a man may belong to one type, in others to another. But generally speaking, in the matters which count most for his making, above all, in those things which count most for the making of his inner self, we shall find one or another of 3 characteristics prevailing, by which the whole man and his whole career are colored. The first type may or may not be the most common. There are few in whom some trace of it may not be found. It goes by many names. In childhood it is called self-indulgent. In youth it is weak-kneed and wanting in backbone. The man in whom it is conspicuous is either given ugly names, or else he is pityingly condoned. It is the type that is represented by him who has an aspiration to be the best that his nature will permit him, who wishes to accomplish all that for which he has been made, but who, for one reason or another, never seems to come to anything. On one excuse or another never puts his hand to the plow, much less, having put it there, takes it back again. At school he looks on at those who succeed better than himself. Some leave him behind in studies. He attributes it to their quicker brains, their better opportunities, their greater freedom from obstacles. Others excel him in athletics. He tells himself they are stronger built, more agile, less hampered by sickliness of body. Others, again, are more cheerful and more popular with their companions. He puts it down to their natural wit, their natural fertility of mind, some gift or other which he does not possess. In youth he watches his equals, leaving him behind. He solaces himself with the thought that he has not had their chances, that he has not been so fortunate in his results, that he has not their almost superhuman energy, that he has been born under an unlucky star and must be content. In manhood, when beginnings are apparently no more, he submits to the inevitable. He was not made to succeed. His lot was cast in humdrum and humble ways. He must be content to be one of the ordinary many with nothing very special about him. Perhaps even he gives himself comfort from the thought that the ordinary many, the quote, unknown and the valued as nothing, end quote, are greatest in the sight of God. If this judgment of himself were really true, there would be nothing more to be answered. But no man is ordinary, if only because of the simple fact that no 2 men are alike. And as for the honor of being, quote, unknown and valued as nothing, end quote, let it be remembered that it is those who strive to be unknown, not those who lie down under their burthen, that receive the reward of the just. A man may not, indeed, be what is called clever. He may not be fleet of foot or agile. He may not have the readiness of wit to utter a bon mot or to make some brilliant repartee. But none of these excuses him from sitting down idle and listless. None justifies his being contented with inaction at any period of his life, drifting aimlessly like a ship without a rudder, a gossamer at the mercy of every breath of wind, a poor boneless creature that cannot stand up straight because it has had neither energy nor courage to make itself. It has always told itself that it wished and looked and hoped for better things. It has known it could do better if it chose. All it has said have been only excuses and not reasons. An uncanny nagging spirit has forever haunted its undeserved, endless hours of resting. Jogged by this spirit, it has persistently intended to start afresh, but the day of starting has always been tomorrow, and tomorrow has never become today. The second type is much more common, particularly perhaps in this generation when getting on is so much the fashion. It is the type of those who do more than merely wish and then idly stand still. They determine to succeed, and their success must be in their own particular way. Whether or not it is actually the best way matters little. Whether success is to be gained at the sacrifice of others is secondary. Such things must happen, and in these days every man must look to himself. Whether even for the man himself it is best, it is futile, he holds it to inquire. Somehow or other he must get on. That is the matter of first importance. Some particular way of getting on has taken his fancy. To pause now and reconsider is to lose precious time. In a child, this tendency of mind is an unlovely thing. We blame it as self-seeking, if not worse. Even in those who are grown up, when it is too flagrant, when it settles down to mere self-preferment, to mere money-making and the like, we may, indeed, envy, but we feel ourselves justified in at least affecting to condemn. But when it is not too manifest, we condone. We even give it honorable names. There is too much fellow feeling between it and ourselves for our judgment upon it to be too rigorous. We more than half encourage it in children. In youth we call it worthy ambition. In a man, if only he succeeds, we crown it with honor. No wonder that so many take it as their rule of action, for it is the rule that is sanctioned by the whole world's estimate of life. Right or wrong, a man must get what he wants, and that is his business here. If he were to fail, he might be more a man. That is not to the point. Were he to succeed along some other course, more fruitful perhaps, but less according to his inclination, he might deserve better of his fellow man. He cannot now afford to chop and change. Success in his own present course may entail misfortune to others, much ultimate regret to himself. The first is not his affair, and as for the second, let the future look after itself. Such is the second type of men, the characteristic type of our present generation, whether or not it is the most common. It is a type that can harden the human heart into steel. Nothing can make a man so hard as the worship of success. It is true it brings with it a certain sense of satisfaction, that is, if only it succeeds. But if it fails, and everyone does not succeed, the greater number fail altogether. Probably none reach the final goal of their ambitions. But even if they partially succeed, the result is very different from that which they expected. There is always disappointment mingled with the victory. There is always the little more that might have made all the difference. Always the disillusionment that comes with every triumph. Always the sense that, after all, if they had chosen another road, they might have gone much farther. Such a man may accept the situation and say that he is content, but his contentment demands an act of the will. It is not the spontaneous result of a nature satisfied. And there is a third type, which is the type of a very man. It is the type that is guided by the desire to do the right thing, whatever the right thing may be. To a man of this type, getting on is not the all in all. It is not even everything to keep what belongs to himself. He knows that in the world there are other men besides himself, other interests besides his own. He knows that right and wrong are not subjective matters only, that he may not define them just as they suit his convenience, that others too have rights and others have wrongs, and theirs may have the greater claim, that in the long run, right can never interfere with itself, and wrong will prove its own condemnation, that one man's self-seeking is no sanction for the same in another, that if he fails in consequence because of the unequal contest, he does a nobler thing, is a nobler man, lives a nobler life, than if he succeeded by any less worthy tactics. That if he honors the man who goes down in such a struggle more than his unscrupulous rival who succeeds, that failure, not success, is both the making and the proof of the hero, whether in the end it is rewarded or not. Failure by death on the field of battle, failure by death in an Antarctic blizzard, failure by death on a leper island, failure by martyrdom, or in any other way when standing for truth against injustice. These are the things even this world knows how to honor. Therefore, the man in whom they are most alive is a man in the fullest sense. It is true, the type is not common. Not every man is a hero, whatever he might be or might once have been. Time saps enthusiasm. Winners of the Victoria Cross are more often young than old. Indulgence saps the power to give and the power to make an effort. It becomes easier to submit and justify one's submission than to stand up and be shot, quote, for nothing, end quote. But here at last, in whatever else it must yield place, youth has the advantage over age. It can make itself be, and it can make itself do, what more matured years cannot. And when a man stands up for the right and takes the consequences, then we know what a man can be. Of the first and second type, we have no more to add. Whatever they are, however comfortable, however prosperous, the honor we pay them cannot be more than lip service. But the third is an ideal, and it makes us look. It makes us wish many things for ourselves, whether we can aspire to it or not. But can we not? That is indeed the whole question. We may think it too much for us. We may fancy we have lost our opportunity. We may say our day for such making is past. We may reckon up our failures and ask whether, with such a record, success can ever be hoped for. In 100 ways we may plead to be dismissed and suffered to remain second or third rate. But human nature pleads against itself. It answers that the power that has made can also unmake, that the creature which has voluntarily accepted the yoke can also set itself free. It is true we cannot all be heroes. If by heroism is meant something that depends upon accidental gifts, something that must shine conspicuously before the eyes of other men, but if it means a constant aspiration for the right, if it means a steady march towards it no matter what may tempt us to look elsewhere, if it means an unflinching refusal to be beaten however often the enemy may have us down, if it means a strong determination that the right thing shall be done in us and by us at whatever cost to ourselves, then yes, even we can be heroes. Even we can never be conquered, and not to be conquered is to win. End of chapter 17. Recording by Judith.